Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest webinar series from Belfast Met College, funded by the Connected Programme and Department for the Economy. Conscious that there might be some people still making their way in, so before we kick off properly, we will just give everyone a few minutes to filter in. As we're moving through the webinar, if I can direct you to the chat function, if you do have any questions that spring to mind at any particular point, please feel free to drop them into the chat function. And at the end of the webinar, we'll have a quick Q&A session. So if anything particularly springs to mind, please do let us know. As I say, we'll give everyone another minute or so before we properly kick off the session, but hope you're all well on this sort of, well, I don't know about you where you are, but particularly grey morning where I am in Lisburn, but hopefully this webinar is going to brighten up your Friday and kick off a whole series of new ideas in terms of whatever business or sector you're in. So. You know what, I think we'll kick off just while the last few people filter in. So as I said, welcome to Belfast Met College webinar. Ordinarily pre-COVID, which is nearly 12 months now, we would have been hosting this sort of event in our E3 campus, generally up on the Springfield Road, but as with everyone and everything at the minute, we're flipped to online delivery. So welcome to Webinarjam. So this is our platform for delivering webinars, and you're very much welcome. This is a first webinar in a series throughout March where we'll have we're exploring progressive web apps today, but we have other webinars exploring Internet of Things, technology in fabric and textiles, and another webinar looking at new product development process. So I'll talk about the link and where to sign up for those other events at the end of the webinar, but this is very much our first webinar for this Supporting Innovation series. As I said, the program that we're running the webinars under is called Connected. So it's very much a program aimed at facilitating the college and university network in Northern Ireland to collaborate, work together, but also run a series of knowledge sharing events, which this webinar is today. So today we're going to be looking at progressive web apps, and particularly how they can help you reach more customers and grow your business. So if you are thinking that developing an app at some point in time, or you're developing a new product or service that has a app link to it, we'll look at today what progressive web apps can offer as a potential alternative to some of the more native versions of apps on the marketplace. Today we're going to be taken through the webinar by Mark Bammer, who's one of our emerging technology specialists. Mark works on a range of our innovation and skills development programs. So he's very much working with progressive web apps day in, day out, from both a training perspective in terms of small and medium businesses across Northern Ireland, but also helping develop proof of concepts and prototypes on behalf of businesses. And I'll discuss some of those programs that support is available on from Belfast Met at the end of the webinar. But enough of the chat from me, and I'll hand over to Mark to take us through this first Supporting Innovation webinar.
Good morning. Thanks very much, David. So, yeah, we're going to look at a technology known as progressive web apps, and what I'm going to try and do today is take you through what a progressive web app is, who is behind them, why you should care, what the advantages of a progressive web app approach can bring and any disadvantages. So first of all, what is a progressive web app? Well, a progressive web app is a website and an app. So it's a website that you can install on your device as an application. Because of this, it means you can just send your app's web URL to anyone, and they can either install your app or just use it as a website. It also means that you can use traditional search engine optimization techniques to get your app to rank well in the major search engines. And anyone who comes across your website has the choice of installing it as an app if they like. Once a progressive web app is installed, it behaves very much like any other app on your device. It has an app icon. It comes up when you type the name of the app into your start menu if you're on a PC, or if you're on a Mac, if you type into Spotlight. You can add it to the various places on your desktop and on your sort of application bar menu, etc. So to introduce you to the term progressive web app, give you a little bit of background about it. It was first coined by a Google Chrome engineer called Alex Russell in 2015. And since the introduction in 2015, there are many companies who have now embraced this new technology. The trailblazers, if you like, came from the likes of Twitter and some large companies such as Trivago and Walmart and the Alibaba Group. And what they discovered was that they were able to double conversion rates and grow their revenues much faster using this progressive web app technology. So, and I apologize for all the people. Obviously, this is pre-pandemic 2017. So I apologize for the lack of holidays at the moment. But Trivago would have been a major case study where they had the wish to reach another billion users, and they used progressive web app technology to achieve this. And I'm going to play a bit of a video which lets Trivago explain why they chose this idea of a progressive web app and what they felt it achieved for them. So if you bear with me, I'm just going to cue that up.
We are moving towards a world of unlimited and nearly perfect information. So all the opportunities for a maybe life-changing travel experience are just a fingertip away. But choice can also be a challenge. Trivago is your navigator through that sea of opportunities. We look through all the information and all the offers. We find the ideal hotel for you, and we show you where you can book it for the lowest price.
Already, Trivago is used much more on mobile than on desktop. We want to actually reach the next billion users coming online in markets across the globe.
But this creates new challenges. In many countries, infrastructure fails to keep up with public demand, and this often means lost connections, mid-usage.
And even in countries with good networks, a user could step into a tunnel or an elevator.
And that led us to Progressive Web App, which combines, on one hand, the discoverability and the accessibility of a website, with, on the other hand, the functionality of a native app.
Initially, the engineering team consisted of only 3 JavaScript developers working in close coordination with the designer. The offline experience was the key thing for us, and we later added on it with push notifications and at the home screen and a lot of retention features. And we know from data that if we give our users the best experience they can actually gain, that we as a business benefit from it.
After installing the PWA on their home screen, users have come back at least twice in the first couple of weeks. Also, we saw for fully PWA-enabled browsers, the conversion rose by 97%.
PWA is likely going to be an evolution of the web. Users are going to start expecting that they can go offline and use a website. They're going to expect that they can add their favorite websites to their home screen.
At Trivago, we have been always proud how fast we are growing and how fast we are learning. And with all these new technologies evolving, we want to be among the first to make use of their potential and bring our mission to even more people. So in the end, we ask ourselves constantly the same question that we also ask our customers: where to go next?
So, bear with me. So hopefully that gave you some insight into what a progressive website actually is. There are lots of examples that are out there. Pinterest uses them. Twitter. Google Maps is also a progressive web application. And Asda uses a progressive web application for its George clothing range. That's a small list. There are many. So what this means for business is large and small businesses now are able to provide the same high converting sort of app experience of a native app to a much larger audience on the mobile web. It makes deployment easy. So with traditional native apps, you have to submit them to Apple's App Store or to Google Play to get the app out there. And that involves a number of hurdles, not least technical, but also you have a gatekeeper that can basically decide whether they want your app on the store or not. And there's a lead time to getting an app approved. And also you generally need to go through some other hurdles as well. Because a progressive web app is a website, you don't need to go through any of that. You can use it as a website, or you can install it as an app on your device from the website itself. From the point of view of cost of development, native apps would be written in the programming languages Swift and Java. And for iOS and Android phones, it makes this quite costly to develop and maintain. And the reason that it's costly to develop and maintain native apps is they require constant investment and specialist skills to keep them up to date and secure and functioning with the continuous arrival of the iOS and Android system updates. Progressive web apps don't have that problem because the way they work is through using the technologies that are already on the phone that are kept up to date for you. The sort of knowledge required around native apps means that you need to find developers that understand Java or Swift or both if you want to roll them out to both platforms, or there are other sort of frameworks and things there, but it's a more rarefied set of skills and therefore it costs more. The technology behind progressive web apps is much more sort of well serviced from developers. What it means for speed is traditionally a website needs to load one thing after another. So if there's something that's taking a long time, the whole page needs to wait for this to finish before displaying the page or moving on to the next thing. And there's lots and lots of evidence and studies that show just how impatient we are as humans. And if we have to wait, we just skip to the next thing. So from a retention point of view, users expect stuff just to work and quickly. Progressive web apps can get around this problem using web workers and additional local caching to the traditional sort of caching you get in a website to run complex multi-threaded work in the background, and also to store data and pages on the actual device itself. That includes a database. So it means that a progressive web app is able to have offline capability. You can store large amounts of data inside a user's browser, and because phones and devices now have ample storage, this isn't a problem. There's a certain amount of space that's not going to get missed by the user, and it means that you could store a whole product or service catalog locally on a device. The user doesn't need any internet connectivity to look through that, and they only need intermittent connectivity to do specific things where they need internet access, i.e. like an app. Because you don't need a persistent internet connection, and the progressive web app is able to cope with very poor signal and signal dropping in and out, it also opens up the possibility to develop other functionality that works in that sort of a pattern. So software that works in that sort of a pattern would be like the likes of email or to-do lists or notepads, etc. So all of those sort of things can be built into a progressive web app. The technology that makes this possible is a set of web APIs. A web API is an application programming interface for the web, and all browsers now have a set of built-in web APIs to support really quite complex operations and to help with accessing specific types of data. For example, you can leverage the geolocation capabilities of your device through the Geolocation Api, and that's able to return exactly where you are as a user. So things like a sort of a Fitbit style requirement where you want to track where you've gone, or there's some functionality around exactly where you need to get to, some map technologies, etc. Notifications, it's possible to receive notifications to the phone through the application. So the Notifications API means that the user can receive a notification in their native way. So using the Android or the Apple notifications platform, the user will receive a notification in the way that they expect the notification to arrive. And there are lots of other APIs as well, and these are getting better browser support, which promises more and more functionality even. So there's also a payment request API, and that means that a progressive web app has the capability to handle payments and shipping using payment tools that are already built into Android and iOS devices. So your facial recognition and your thumb scanners, and using your Apple Pay and your Google Wallet, and not having to put all your details in as a user whenever you're buying something because they're already in the phone, and picking which debit card or credit card you want to pay the bill with. There are lots of APIs. This is a very small list of them, but they include stuff such as user median stream, which allows you to interact with the camera, phone, and the audio and video. There's file access, so you can store files to the drive. So there's speech, sort of text to speech capability, and sort of data syncing in the background. So if you need to push out updates to the app, that's all possible. Now, the downside is that different browsers will have different levels of support for the new APIs. And the word new, they're not really new anymore. The APIs have been out, a reasonable amount of time, but the way of using them, to develop these apps, and the progressive web app framework is, as I said, it sort of really started in 2015. Now, this downside is getting smaller all the time, and really because of the potential of progressive web apps, the tech companies have come under sustained pressure to meet the requirements to allow all of these different APIs to work. So the state of play at the moment is Google was an early adopter. It was their engineer who coined the phrase. And they didn't come up with the actual specification or the standard, but they were the first to adopt it. And they have very strong support for progressive web apps. So that means that all Android devices can support progressive web apps. Microsoft, they've had a bit of a checkered past with their web browsers. So Internet Explorer is a bit of a dirty word to web developers, but they've basically employed a Chromium-powered browser. So Edge is basically Chrome. And that means that all Windows devices strongly support progressive web apps with a choice of Edge or Chrome. And obviously Edge is also available on iOS devices, and that means, the choice of browser gets larger there. Firefox also is a strong supporter of progressive web apps, but there are certain features that Apple in particular are a little slow to implement, maybe understandably, considering their whole app kind of ecosystem. But they have very good support for most progressive web app features, apart from the ability to actually install it as an app. But the actual website that uses the framework still has the ability to do all of those things that an app would be able to do, and benefits from faster performance and offline capabilities, etc. So in summary, a progressive web app, so it works for every user regardless of browser choice to some extent, hence the name progressive. You progress towards full app. It fits any form factor. It works offline or on low quality networks. It feels like an app because, well, it enjoys W3C identification as an app, and W3C are the group that write all of the standards for the web. It's always up to date because your platform is basically the browser itself, the browser engine. So Google keeps all of that technology up to date. Microsoft, Apple, they keep their browsers up to date and working with their phones. So obviously, a lot of that is looked after for you. The progressive web apps require HTTPS connections, but that's pretty much standard these days. So all the connections are encrypted for security, and they enjoy features like push notifications, and they can be easily added to your home screen and over a traditional app that can easily be shared via URL, etc. I've for anybody that's interested, I have some information around basic helpers and various bits and pieces, but obviously you can come to the business development unit here for advice and support around these. And to finish off, I just wanted to demonstrate I've created a very cut down progressive web app, and I'll actually share the URL that you can download it yourself and see how the thing works. Now, it has no functionality in it apart from the fact that it's there as a web page and you can install it and uninstall it. But I'll share my screen and show you that actually happening. So hopefully this works. Bear with me. Hey. So hopefully you're able to see my screen at the minute. And here we have a progressive web app, and it's just a website page, very cut down one here. It could have anything on here. It doesn't need to be Spartan like this, obviously. And you'd have your various links, and you go to it like you would any other. Once I refresh this, let's see, we're not going to work for us here at the minute. You are able to install the actual progressive web app. So for some reason I'm having some issues here. I think because I've got a shared connection here, it's not going to allow me to do it. Let's see. So it's made up of, you can see within it, it has the ability to, store stuff on a database. It uses service workers, and it's able to cache stuff in. And there are various things that can be done, to test it, using things like, push notifications and periodic sync, etc. It's able to be like a fluid level, website and work on different orientations, etc. And basically behaves just like a website. But for some reason, and I think it's because it's on a shared connection, the security won't allow me to actually install it here. But if you try it yourself, you can try downloading the link and see, you should see an install button around about here, and you can install it and then uninstall it. So I'm just going to stop my screen share here. Okay, so, well, that's a little disappointing. I can't show you and demonstrate it being installed, but I think because we're on it's on a shared connection, it from a security point of view, it won't allow it to be installed while it's being shared through this broadcast there. So it was always the concern that would be the case. But what I can do is I can, like I say, I can stick the URL. Now that you would need to try this in a Chrome browser just to get the thing to work. So hopefully that has come through. And you can let me know if you're able to see the install button and install the thing. What you should say is that it installs onto your device, and then there's like the 3 buttons at the side here whenever it installs, and you can click on those and uninstall it. If I show you, what I can show you is something like Google Maps here. Might be a better idea. See if it'll allow me to do it. Well, probably won't actually. It's going to be the same problem with the shared, with the live broadcast screen. But you can try a couple of the examples, such as ASDA, their George range, and have a look. And what you should see is you'll see in some there won't be an obvious install button. You'll just have like a little icon up here that allows you to install it. So at the moment, some will push actively that you can install it as an application, and others will just use all of the advantages that it can run better like an application, but with it appearing like a website. So that's hopefully explained what a progressive web app is for you. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to take them now.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mark. If you're able to put the slides back up briefly.
Yeah, sure.
That's okay. So yeah, no, thanks very much for taking us through a whistle-stop tour of what a progressive web app is. I think we're all a bit more enlightened on that fact, and then also some of the sort of pros and cons and potential benefits over and above some of those more native apps. We do have a few questions in the chat. So one of the questions we have is, are there examples of companies that use notification APIs in their progressive web apps, and how does the end user manage these within their device?
Well, yeah. So the examples there, like Trivago, etc. They would use that to send notifications. If you're interested in a particular thing, then notifications can be sent to you, or offers and stuff like that. And just like with any other app, for any of the features such as geolocation or receiving notifications, you have to explicitly give permission for the app to be able to do that. So it's no different with a progressive web app. Okay,
and I suppose one from me, in terms of, I know you said APIs aren't new, but in terms of some of the more recent APIs, is there anything you've seen that's really, forward thinking, or anything you've been really amazed by in terms of some of those APIs and integrations that you think small or medium businesses could really, I suppose, grab a hold of and get some value out of?
Well, the fact that you can incorporate it into the camera means that you can scan things like barcodes and various other bits and pieces. So, I mean, they've been used a lot in with the pandemic, to bring certain information up. But the ability to combine the functionality, all the functionality in your phone within an application, means that there's all sorts of things that you could try and do. But it's difficult to answer the question because the possibilities are large. It really does mean that your progressive web app has access to so much functionality that you would expect only an app to be able to have. But it leverages the capabilities of the user's phone to be able to do all sorts of stuff. So whether that was kind of using the fact that you can give directions to where you are, where your user actually is if they need, and they can all sorts of things.
Yeah, sort of thing. I know on my phone, I frequently go in and knock off the sort of geolocation tracking of a load of apps that I don't feel they need to know where I am.
No, no, but it would be more to do with, like, for example, Google Maps wouldn't work without it.
Yeah.
So it's from that kind of point of view. Or if you were, if you're needing to quickly, find information out about something or get functionality. So WhatsApp, for example, uses the they scan the code to get their desktop piece of software to work with your phone. There's all sorts of different ways and imaginative ways that people have come up with using the fact that these things can be done. So yeah, there's. But yeah, absolutely. Like all apps and stuff, there's always the concern about Big Brother and what have you, and your data. So you will have, users have, complete control about what you allow an app to be able to do and not to do. And obviously, you would only include that functionality that you need. So you wouldn't track your users. You would only give them the ability to do that. For example, if you had some sort of like Fitbit style, thing on your phone, and the user wanted to see how many steps, how far they've gone, or whatever,
Yeah, brilliant. And I know just another question for me as we're run through the webinar there. This sprung to mind. You sort of touched on obviously all the functionality, pros and cons, and touched on the cost. And I know it's probably how long is a piece of string because it depends from app to app and what needs to be done. But is there like a rough, percentage in terms of those sort of development costs of a native app versus a progressive web app in terms of the rough, cost savings to be made, and then also the likes of the potential fees that need to be paid to the likes of Apple Store and Google and Android for hosting the app. There's those sorts of costs as well. So there's, as much as you're getting all the functional benefits over traditional native apps, there's also that cost benefit as well.
Yeah. So if you have an app which actually is monetized, where it brings you money, if you put an app onto one of the stores, then you have to pay your store tax, if you like, to Google and to Apple. And there's been plenty of controversy about the amount of fees, and that I have sympathy for those fees and the fact that, like, those companies are providing all of that platform for you to use. But the beauty about a progressive web app is it doesn't require any store, therefore there are no fees taken from your income. If you come up with an idea for an app and it generates money, there's the only tax is the tax man.
Brilliant. Well, look, thank you very much, Mark, for taking us through progressive web apps. And I suppose for our attendees today, if some of that struck a chord with you and you're thinking, I have a great idea, I was thinking about developing an app and I'm thinking progressive web apps may be the way to go, or there's other areas of your business that we could support. We do have a range of both fully and part-funded programs that you can avail of. So I suppose I actually probably didn't even introduce myself at the beginning, so I suppose it'd be a good time to do that. So my name's David Phelan. I'm Business Development Executive at Belfast Met College, and my role is to essentially connect private sector and social enterprises into a range of programs to help with innovation, skills development, and essentially helping fuel your growth and expansion plans at the end of the day. So this webinar series is funded by a program called Connected. So it really offers the college the opportunity to run knowledge sharing sessions like this today, but also to help you explore whether a technology or product or service is the way you want to go in terms of your business plan. So if you're thinking, oh, I would like to know more about progressive web apps, or want to explore a technology and whether it's right for yourself and your business, we can essentially fund some time with some of our academics to explore that with you, even before you potentially go down the avenue of looking to develop a product or service yourself, or potentially looking to outsource that, or invest some money in an area of technology, we can help you explore and navigate that through the Connected program. And we can also work collaboratively with other colleges and the university network together on collaborative projects within the Connected program. We also have a program that solely focuses on upskilling you. So if you have a new service or product or process you're looking to develop internally, Belfast Met can fund one-to-one technical training. So pre-COVID, that would have been done one-to-one in person, either in the college or your place of work. But for the moment, all of our Innovatus training is being done through screen sharing sessions, a bit like this. So whether that's Microsoft Teams or Zoom or any of the other platforms, we can undertake one-to-one technical training. And that can be in anything and everything, generally at the minute in digital areas. So whether that's from virtual reality upskilling, 3D modeling, upskilling you in how to develop your own and work in APIs or chatbots. If you're looking to develop your own online platform in some shape or form and have a real niche requirement for training, we can essentially match you up with a academic with both the time and the expertise to undertake that training and really give you the skills to go and develop that yourself and grow your business. Sorry, Mark, you were saying?
Sorry, I thought you were. If I didn't want to interrupt. It was just whenever you're finished with it as well. I didn't answer one of your questions, by the way, to do with the development costs behind PWA. But very quickly, when it comes to development costs with progressive web apps, with Android and with iOS, and native apps, those are very expensive to produce, usually tens of thousands of pounds of maintenance costs, because you have to keep up to date with the latest phones. It's your responsibility. No one's going to help you do that. So you have to find developers that understand how to, adapt your app to work with the latest security update that's broken it, etc. With a progressive web app, because it's basically an application that is using the browser window, so it opens up like an application on your device. You don't have any browser bar, but the technology behind it is it uses the phone's actual browser as the engine to make the app work. So that means that Google, and Apple and Firefox, etc., Mozilla, all those companies that are large and have deep pockets are paying for all of the updates to make sure that that engine is kept up to date with all of those phones. From the sort of technology side of it, it's more akin to web development from the point of view of that uses web technologies. You can make it as complex or as simple as you like. So, you can involve databases and offline and use whichever sort of development, and there are many stacks that you want to create the thing, but you're very much in web technology stacks, which are cheaper basically than the technology stacks required for native app development. Anyway, sorry, David, for interrupting you there.
That's right. You just demonstrated a perfect example of the sort of expertise and knowledge you can get access to through the likes of the Connected program. So those little nuggets of advice and exploration can be undertaken with a range of our academics to help you explore technology areas before you might potentially look to invest a lot of your own time and potentially money in something that ultimately might not, give you the best outputs or outcomes that could be achieved through other areas. So that was a great live demonstration of the sort of nuggets of information our academics can provide. So as I was saying, Innovatus is definitely that sort of more one-to-one technical training, upskilling, giving you the knowledge and skills to go and develop your own products and services yourself. If you're not in that space, you know what you want to do, you know what your product or service needs to look and feel like, but you don't have either the expertise or knowledge yourself, or potentially the capital to spend money on that. Another avenue for small business is innovation vouchers. So a program run by Invest in I that essentially gives you a digital check of £5,000 to go and spend with a knowledge provider, so any of the college network or university network in Northern Ireland, and essentially enables a college like Belfast Met to do work on your behalf. So to develop a proof of concept or prototype of could be a tangible physical product or a digital service, and really help you explore whether what you want to do is achievable before potentially invest in further money in development. So this could be the likes of, say, virtual or immersive tech applications. This could be energy management platforms. This could be blockchain or machine learning technology that you're wanting to apply to an issue, which could be a business issue, societal issue, environmental issue, whatever your solution solves a particular problem. Innovation vouchers can be used to essentially help get you a tangible product or service in your hand to demonstrate with your client base or investors or whatever it may be. There's 4 calls a year from Invest Now, and there is an application process. But once again, Belfast Met can help you through that application process and really hone your application prior to submission. And at the minute, due to going to the COVID-19 pandemic, there is a particular focus on potential voucher projects that do solve a COVID-19 issue or problem, or help with areas like social distancing, etc. So if that's something of interest, please do get in touch with us. The next call will be in the next month or so. So now is a good time to get in touch with us. And then last but not least, the skills focus program. So if particular qualifications or certifications or something that you would like to explore to grow either yourself or your business, we can fully fund qualifications at level 2 or above for companies and social enterprises with under 250 staff. So it's really a really good way in terms of developing your staff, helping them grow, and in turn growing your own business. Or if you're a sole trader, growing yourself and in turn your services. So if that is something that is of interest, please let us know. We will have our new funding year coming into effect from April onwards. So we're currently in the process of pulling together our plans for the Skills Focus program in terms of those qualifications that'll be on offer. So whilst this particular webinar has a IT technology slant to it, the Skills Focus, and in fact all of the programs I've discussed cover off a large range of areas, whether that's leadership and management, construction and engineering, into your science areas of focus, and even through to social and healthcare. So it's a wide range of support across different sectors and business areas. I suppose that just leads me to say that, as I said at the top of the webinar, we do have a series of webinars running through March. So next Friday, we do have a webinar exploring Internet of Things in 2021, and looking how companies and businesses have explored IoT during the COVID-19 pandemic. So best way to sign up for that is if you go to sedsi.eventbrite.com, you'll see the list of webinars upcoming for the next month or so. So we do have a webinar exploring new product development techniques and processes, and then also a webinar looking at technology in fabrics and textiles. So there's something for everyone in that webinar series. So that just really leaves me to say thank you to Mark for taking us through progressive web apps. And if you want to learn a bit more, please do email us. So you see up on the screen in a minute, we've got our email address, which is sedsi@belfastmet.ac.uk. So that's the best way to get in touch with us and kick off a conversation and see how we can best support you. And then just leaving to say thank you to Connected as well for funding this webinar today and helping us all explore progressive web ops. Thanks very much, and hopefully see you all next Friday. Cheers.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark.